Welcome, everybody, to episode number 60 of the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. We are your hosts, Adam, Amy, and Russell Gibson.
Greetings.
Do we say Happy New Year now? Because I know this will go live on the feed on January 1st, but we're pre-recording because...
No, we have to say it when it's New Year's. That's cheating.
So are we going to do a live video? I might not be in any state to do a live video and say Happy New Year to everyone. So I'm going to say preemptive, assumptive Happy New Year to everybody right now. Hope you've all had a great Christmas period. Hope you enjoyed our little Christmas treat that we put up.
Yeah.
And look, we're here before the end of the year live, and we'll be on the feed as of New Year's Day, just so you can get your You Can't Comp This fix.
Yep.
First thing, as soon as it ticks over to 2023. In the meantime, we've got some news.
We do have some news.
Well, there's lots happening in the NBA.
Yep. We got some news for the podcast, so I think we should kick off with that.
News for the podcast. This is all right. You can kick this one off.
We have a new sponsor. It is the hobbyhangout.com.au. So please go down to the hobbyhangout.com.au to get your tickets for their shows. Their next show is the 5th of February at the Tivoli in Brisbane. And then after that, it is the 5th of March in the Melbourne Pavilion. So
we will definitely be at that second one. I don't think we'll be at the February one.
Yeah, I'm not heading up to Brisbane.
I'd love to head up to Brisbane, but I'm a bit short on leave at this point. So
yeah, that's an understatement, really, isn't it?
But yes, it's amazing to have the Hobby Hangout on board. Russell and I, we've been to 2 Hobby Hangouts now.
Yep, definitely. And you can see improvement at each one.
Yep, great experience both times. Both very different for us. There's not really a bad word to say about it. It's just amazing to get down and interact with people from the hobby.
So I will say this, though. There was a story that came out recently at an American card store where people were setting up sort of unofficial tables and then essentially, removed from the venue. So that doesn't happen at the Hobby Hangout. There is dedicated traders area. So it's actually encouraged for people to trade. So
that's it.
A+ for the guys, for providing that. The other thing to mention too, mate, is Julian Seabrough, who is from EJ Cards.
Yep.
Who have also been a very long time sponsor and supporter of our show.
Yes.
Julian is actually the keynote speaker. So I can't wait to hear what Julian has to say. And
that is going to be fantastic.
We were talking off air about this. We need to get Jules to come on to tell us about.
We'll get an exclusive before the Hobby Hangout.
Yep. Doma and Source from Double Coverage will be there. Lane Pierce from 130 Point. Shane Panther, which we previously did a podcast with Shane.
Yep.
He's also from Moneyball Sports Cards. He'll be there to talk. So that'll be interesting to see what Panther's got to say.
Yeah.
Mailman Breaks is breaking live. So Jono with the massive thumbs will be there burning out some cards. So
it's going to be a good week. Good. It's always a good event. Well run. Lots of fun to be had.
Yep.
Boxes to sift through.
Yep.
Bargains to be had.
Yep.
Collectors to exchange stories with. It's always
lots of people doing trades, just walking around selling stuff, and it'll be really good.
Yep. So it's great to have the Hobby Hangout on board with the show, and we'll more news to come.
Yep. All right, let's kick off with Luka Doncic. This is, for me, the obvious storyline to headline with this week. So 60 points, 21 rebounds, 10 assists, and also the win, which I think is important because if you put up a line like that, you would want to win. I think for me, the really interesting line out of this is that all the sort of historical comparisons that it's been making. So no one's officially done that before. And I think the one that sort of came to mind is not even Wilt did this. And it seems as though if you go back through the record books, Wilt is up there for every points, rebound, assist, records out there. So, to see Luka up there with Wilt, like I think it's a really big deal. And how this translates back to the hobby, for me, this is really easy because we've spoke about Luka already in the last sort of, 3 months about how he has had this, very sort of gradual slide down. And I was a little bit maybe perplexed by it, and I didn't really understand, why he was going down. So there was nothing really to me that stood out for this guy, why he should drop. So I think having a game like this is going to matter for the hobby because it's going to jolt all that attention back to him. Because like when you Google the 60 point, 20 rebound, 10 assist game, like it even comes up on generic news feeds. Like The Guardian picked it up, and
Oh,
you know,
wow.
newspapers from Australia did. So like it is a big deal, and I think for me, the really big stuff like the Zions, the Jordans, the Lukas, I think the reason why those guys are, liquid per se, I think
Yeah.
part of that is because of that sort of mainstream media that they do attract. So, a game like that, this is the Fruja factor, isn't it? This is how it creates buzz and, and things get, done. So,
It's crazy. Like,
yeah.
it's...
So what I want to go through a few of his cards and see how they're traveling because again, not all cards will be traveling in the same direction, and you do have to, be mindful of that.
That's true.
So the base PSA 10 is up 32%. So that last sold for $435. It's actually sharply increased in the last, couple of days. But in saying that, it has been up to 420 in the last couple of weeks. So
Yeah.
the one I'm personally interested in is the Ruby Wave. So
Yeah.
I'm interested in this card. I think it's a good looking card, but also too, it's a very interesting price point. It's at that sort of $1,000 mark for a PSA 10. That's
Okay.
actually down 12%. So it sold for 1,700
Mm.
on the 7th of November, and the
Yep.
last sale was for 1,000. So that to me is a little bit interesting, and I do want to touch base with that again.
Yep.
The orange to 49 is selling very, very strongly. So it's up 4%, but that last sold for 31,000. So,
Okay.
anything that's numbered with Luka is really, really up there.
Okay. So, yeah. Okay. We've got what about, yeah, all the numbered stuff. Oh, actually, I'm just looking at what is it? The blue to 175, the fast break,
Yeah, talk to me.
down 35%.
Okay.
So from 10K at the start of October. Yes.
So talk to me about that because what's your thoughts on fast break?
Numbered fast break, or
Just fast break in general.
it's a risky product?
Because for me,
It feels hit and miss, I guess, is the...
like there's products at the moment like Select H2 and Optic H2, which are, hybrid products.
Yeah, yeah.
And for me, I almost feel like that's what the original hybrid was. It was because fast break is somewhere in between retail and hobby. And it's probably closer to hobby than retail, but it's not really that far away.
It's an interesting one, isn't it?
My feeling about fast break is that the return out of it has never been fantastic. So when I do see
That's fair.
stuff dropping down on that, I'm not sitting here shaking my head saying, "Oh, geez, I'm shocked." What's going on because I
Yeah.
just don't feel like that.
I'm just looking at the different... So rather than the actual what set it's come from, I'm looking at the red to 299 at the moment.
Yeah.
That's last sold for 5,400. Now, the blue has come down from a 10K sale, blue to 175, that is the fast break,
Yeah.
is down at $6,500.
Okay.
So is it just coming down to some form of relativity? I'm just trying to find the number to 199. Is there a 199?
So my thoughts on the blue, is that the dark blue one?
Blue, there we go, the normal blue. Not the sparkly, the normal blue. Look at that. To 199, last sold for 24.6K. So there's your difference between fast break, right? Almost 25,000 US for a card that's numbered to 199, and for literally the same card, because the fast break is the same image,
Yeah.
a sparkly blue to 175. So there are 24 less of these in the world. Last sold $6,500.
See, I think that fast break should be about 30% less. I don't think it should be 3 times less or 4 times less. So I think that's a very good buy.
I think it's a buy, but I'm not. It's weird because it doesn't matter how much fast break product is out there. There are only 175 of that card.
No, I'm not debating that. But I suppose what I'm saying is I think the appearance of fast break does put people off a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And
It's just weird. Like,
you shouldn't pay the same amount for fast break numbered that you would pay for hobby numbered. Like, do you know what I mean? I think there should be a price gradient, but at the same time, that price gradient to me seems out of whack. So I think that's in that
yeah,
particular instance, that's a good pickup ad. So I think that's a good buy.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and then look, I think in 20 years' time, which product it came from becomes less relevant because there's a finite number of cards. It's the only thing I'm sort of putting out there is
yeah,
if
that is
something's
true.
numbered, it's the same image, so it's the same card.
I would say yes and no on that though. I do wonder that if you're buying hobby cards, I think that's a much safer bet, in the distant long term. Because we spoke about that
Sure,
when we
sure.
did like our retro compare episode. I
Yep.
think that's the thing that like stood out to me the most. It's like if you buy the right card from the right set, then you're gonna be fine. But if you buy
Yeah.
the optic instead of the prism, I think that's where, long term you can get,
Mm.
burnt quite significantly. Because the
Yeah.
price gradient is, enormous then.
Yeah. And I guess that's where I'm starting in my mind. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with the world?
Yeah.
Because when we look back at retro cards, pop counts were a huge thing, right?
Yeah.
So you look back at certain rookies and you go, well, there's hundreds of them or there's thousands of them.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like there's only 175. It doesn't matter that it came out of fast break.
Yeah, sure.
There's 175 of them. That's that.
Yeah.
Versus obviously 199, but that came out of the hobby product.
Yeah.
So interesting how the perception of the product impacts the individual card.
Absolutely. Any other cards you want to talk about off card ladder? Because I've just found a couple I wouldn't mind to run through.
You can go for your life. I was just running through a couple of mainly the Prism stuff with card ladder, so I might go for a bit of a fishing expedition.
So the other one that I think is interesting to talk about is his rookie sneaker spotlight. So there's actually two pretty recent sales on that. The most recent one was BGS 8.5. And again, for those noir cards, we all know about the quality control concerns about that. So I would actually say an 8.5 is a good grade for a sneaker spotlight.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so that's his rookie year, that sold for 7,200.
Wow.
And I'm going to segue like here again, and that's like, I'm totally fine with this segue. I think, all these people have been saying like, oh, the hobby is dead and like blah, 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 blah. Like, hang on a second. Like every day cards sell for, thousands and thousands of dollars. And this is like the perfect example of it. So that sold for 7,200. Then maybe 2 weeks before that, BGS 8.5 sold for $5,640 on PWCC. So that's a tidy little turnaround in a short period of time.
Very.
I just want to check the numbering on this. So that eBay sale looks like it's been taken down. So we can include that or disregard it if we want to. And then looking further back through the listings, we've got another one sold on PWCC. This is PSA this time. And it looks like it's just been authenticated. That sold for 6,600.
Yeah.
One sold on Golden's 8.5 BGS for 7,500. So that sort of seems to be the roundabout price on that, doesn't it? Sort of 6,600, 7,500.
Yeah.
Interesting. If you go back a little bit further than that, 5,400 on PWCC, and then before that, 2,032. So actually, because before that there was okay, so there was one for 2,100, and then before that, Raw for 640.
Jeez.
That is an absolute steal. That was on October the 23rd.
That's the thing, and we've talked about how Luka's been on the decline, and it's I don't know. There might be some bargains to be had.
Yeah.
I still think he's a risky investment, even though he's putting up phenomenal stats.
Why do you think he's risky though?
I still think he needs to win a championship. It's like investing in Giannis before Giannis won a chip. He hasn't even won an MVP yet.
Yeah.
Like, he is phenomenal, don't get me wrong. But what happens
if
his career goes down the Charles Barkley trajectory?
So in your mind, is Luka like high-end prospecting? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Like, it's like he's getting the recognition of having those accolades without having them yet. Because it's like, he's that good, they're destined to get to that point.
Yeah.
Like, he's putting up MVP level numbers.
At a very young age. Like, no one's done the things he's done at that
age,
right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing to counter argue your Barkley comp, I think it's pretty fair to say that Luka looks after his body just a little bit better than Sir Charles did, right? Like,
All right, fair
you'll
enough.
give me that,
I don't know.
surely.
He comes look. He sometimes he comes into the season looking a bit heavier than he should, but you're right, definitely better than Sir Charles.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an interesting thing because a friend of mine the other day, see, he had a warm take, and I had to use the term a Luka warm take. That
Right.
that we're currently in the golden era of the NBA because you look at the number of superstars that are just phenomenal players.
The league is insanely deep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you look at Luca and you're just like, this guy is going to win an MVP.
They're ready for expansion. I think that's
But you look at Ja Morant, you think he's going to win an MVP. You look at Jokic, you're like, how is he not going to win the MVP? You look at Giannis, you look at, do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many players that are like, that player will win an MVP.
yeah.
There's only one MVP award a year. It's interesting to
Yeah.
me. We're probably spoiled as far as the level of talent that we're watching.
Yeah. It's just
It's
awesome
phenomenal,
games. Yeah.
but does that impact things where for the hobby anyway? At the end of the day, if Luka's this amazing player that doesn't win a championship, doesn't win an MVP, is one of the greatest Mavericks to have ever taken the court, but doesn't achieve greatness in the metric sense, in the way that we all put into the GOAT debate. Championships, MVPs, scoring titles, all the, you know what I mean? Like, if he's a top 5 player through his whole career, but he never gets to the top of the mountain, does his prices, do his prices do what they've done in recent months and tank?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think that for GOAT status, there is things you need to check off. And I agree with the championships. I agree with MVPs, plus or minus, scoring titles. The only thing I'd probably add to that thought bubble, just to sort of maybe diminish your, not opinion, but like your viewpoint a little bit. It's like, so take Kareem for a second, right?
Okay.
MVPs, the most points ever. And yes, LeBron is like breathing down his neck at the moment. Multiple championships on different teams.
Yep.
And think about when, from Sports Card Nonsense, he came on. When Mike came on and he was talking about his rookie card.
Yes.
You have a look at that rookie card. That is just an amazing card, honestly. And it almost doesn't matter what he's done. He's not going to get that hobby love. And look, maybe it will slowly go up over time and you'll get a few percentage points here and there. But there are some people that are just more popular than other people in the hobby. And I think Luka is pretty established in that sort of sense in terms of, hobby popularity. So that's why I feel, even if he doesn't get to the tippy top, I still just, for me, I never feel sort of too stressed about if I do pick up Lukas here and there, because if I pick up a Luka and then I want to sell that to buy a different Luka or a different card, he is very sort of fluid in the market, or very liquid. Liquid is the appropriate term, isn't it? So,
all right, who's another winning player that never won a chip?
Well,
there's plenty of them, right? There's Karl Malone. There's
the big one for me is, at the moment, I would say is Jokic, because the numbers that guy's putting up is literally just, he's from another planet.
Yeah, but he's won 2 MVPs.
Yeah, but he hasn't won a championship, and
that's the pressure now.
Yeah, and also too, I just feel the way that team is built, it's so boom or bust. The way that they constructed that roster, they took so many risks on high injury potential players. So where does that leave them? They need to catch lightning in a bottle. And look, segueing again, if you look at the standings this year, it's actually possible they're going to stay healthy enough to compete for the chip this year. So I'm super stoked about that. I think that will be awesome.
Well, once the Lakers don't make the finals, I'll be able to go for the Nuggets.
Mate, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to make the play-in.
I know. I'm going to enjoy watching.
They're 13th at the moment. Do you know the Thunder have got a better record than them?
I have seen that.
And the Wolves.
And now that Anthony Davis is out indefinitely.
Do you know the best part about this? The best team in the West is the Pelicans, and they're going to have the Lakers pick. That just excites my.
Well, it's a pick swap, isn't it?
I mean, I actually
It's a
don't know.
pick swap, so they're just not going to swap it. Or they
No,
are
of
going to
course they'll
swap it.
swap it. Like the
So
Pels
that
will be like, yes, I'll take your
we end
pick.
up with the
Thank you.
30th pick. Yeah, they will swap it. That's what I mean.
Yeah, take our number 2 pick.
We'll finish last and we'll get the last pick of the draft. Yeah, that's great.
All right, we've segued so far. I don't even know what we're talking about. We're talking about Luka, weren't we?
Luka. So, and this is, I suppose, this is why I
said
don't
Karl
want to
Malone.
be. Said Karl Malone.
Yeah.
Jerry West is another one. Never won a chip. West didn't win one, did he? He won some MVPs though.
He did in 1972.
He won the chip, did he?
Yeah.
Oh no, he won a Finals MVP in a losing team. Anyway, my point about Luka isn't, I suppose, that he's going to go without winning. It's that we've seen this story develop before. And what happens at this time of the year is everyone is on the Luka is a phenomenal basketball player train. And by the time we get past the All-Star break, Luka's shoulders are about to fall off because he's carrying the whole damn team and he can't get anywhere with it. This is the problem with Dallas. They can't put the right pieces around him, and he keeps crumbling at the end of the year because he does everything. Clearly, Jokic just has bigger shoulders because he carries Denver a little bit further.
Yeah, look.
I just think Dallas are going to disrupt Luka's value in the hobby.
Okay.
Because we've been on this merry-go-round before. This time last year, Luka's putting up big numbers. Luka's an MVP. Luka's this, Luka's that. Luka pitters out because he's the only one that does anything in Dallas.
Yeah, so look, I'll agree with you. If you look at the Western Conference teams, the teams that have more talent than the Mavericks at the moment, the Pelicans do, the Nuggets do, the Grizzlies do, the Clippers do, the Suns do. So that's the top 5 teams have got more cumulative talent on their team than the Mavericks. Yeah. Then when you get down to 6, it's the Kings, and you could toss it up either way. I'd probably say once you take Luka and say Fox out of it, I'd say that roster is pretty equal. I would say the Mavericks have probably got a better roster than the Blazers, the Jazz, or the Warriors. That's tough at the moment. The Warriors have got more talent.
I think the Warriors are in a weird spot.
Injured. Yeah. Maybe the Wolves have got more talent than the Mavericks have got.
They just can't. They've got pieces, right? Yeah. They just can't get the pieces to gel.
I suppose my thing about the Mavericks was that I really liked the Porzingis trade when it happened. I just felt that really opened up their offense. And then when they got Christian Woods, I thought that was really good. Yeah. But my sort of observation is, some teams are like front-running teams. Somehow the Mavericks are the opposite of that. They start really, really slowly, and then they almost need to be down by 10 points before they go, actually, we're actually playing a professional game and need to play. I don't know. That's my sort of very...
Yeah. I just feel like
one-line summary of the Mavericks.
They leave it all out, and the tank is empty by the time they get to like the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah,
and if they could just find some quality to get around Luka,
yeah.
And I don't know if it's that Luka's the problem, that he's hard to play with. I feel like the poor bloke gets to the finals, like
there's not a ton of talent around him. I think, to be honest, they just needs more talent. Yeah,
but I'm just worried about that impacting his hobby value down the track, because we are talking about long term with this guy. We're prospecting that he is one of the like a high level prospect.
I think for me, the reason why I find him so reassuring to buy is that if you look at the last 2 years, he's actually down significantly.
Yeah,
and that's why for me, I think it's a decent buy. I still think you need to be careful and pick your spots. You can't just buy any Luka card at any time. You do need to be watching the market and stuff. But at the same time, I think he's very safe in that sense because of his long-term potential, but also because he's so liquid. Like, it's not that difficult to sell Luka stuff. People want Luka stuff. So that's the other thing that I find, very fun with him is that, I've upgraded my Luka cards maybe 5 times now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not difficult. Yeah. All right. Thank you to our sponsor, EJ Cards, a small but motivated company specializing in cards. EJ Cards believe passionately in great bargains and excellent service, which is why they commit themselves to give you the best of both. If you're looking for something new, you're in the right place. EJ Cards strive to be industrious and innovative, offering customers something they want, putting their desires at the top of the priority list. Find EJ Cards at www.ejcards.com.au or shop 394 to 398 Middleborough Road, Blackburn, Victoria, and also find them on Facebook. Thank you very much, EJ Cards, for sponsoring us. So my segue from Luka is I want to go to Wilt Chamberlain because he's been compared to Wilt so many times this week. So I
We've
just want to
compared so many things, haven't
yeah,
we?
I just want to run through just a couple of Wilt cards because for me, I don't have a Wilt auto. I don't have a Wilt patch. It is on my, my long-term sort of obtainable list.
Yep.
And I think it's just fun to to look at this stuff. So, look, some of his flawless stuff is just absolutely amazing, and I think that's probably for me where I would start.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think we need to look at some of the classics. So the 1970s Topps card. Some of the prices on this is actually like mind-bending, to be honest, because a PSA 8 last sold for $640. Now that actually sold in October for $1,600. So talk about fluctuation in the marketplace. That's quite epic. I find it really interesting to look at these cards, to look at like the PSA 4s. So that actually sold for $170. And again, I like that. We spoke about this when we did the Reggie Miller deep dive.
Yeah.
I like that you can go in and like buy a card for $100 and and get this guy. I really like that. I think for 100, like that sold for 80 US. Okay, so what's that? 120 AUD.
Yeah.
I think putting that into your PC, it's a PSA 4, but it's also like a 50-year-old card.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I like that. All right. The other one I think to talk about too, because just the classic design, like 1971 Topps.
1971 Topps, was it?
Yeah. PSA 5. It's sold twice in the last 3 months for 110 and 160.
Okay.
That's interesting. I feel that's probably more than the 70.
Is that the which one's that?
It's got the pink background and
the pink one. Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah.
I've got it up now. Funny, no PSA 10s.
Mm.
But a PSA 7 last sold for $350 US.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay, then you get PSA 8. Okay, 8 goes up to $690 US. Okay. So maybe that's 6. Okay. 560. Yeah. Some good price points that you can sort of get one of the greats.
Yeah.
I think that's your big point is having those greats in your collection. You don't have to have the PSA 10 rookie card that's worth $1 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it depends on your card budget, right?
That's true. That's very true. I don't know. I would definitely want the 61.
All right, here we go. 1991-92 Upper Deck Wilt Chamberlain Basketball Heroes on-card auto for the Philadelphia 76ers, AUD $296. I feel like that's a very solid pickup.
Yes.
Let me rephrase that. I put money into breaks and have not got back a Wilt Chamberlain autograph.
Yeah.
Is that reasonable to make a comparison like that?
I think it's very reasonable comp. Yeah. Like Wilt's one of the greats. Yeah.
Yep.
And it's not the easiest of things to come by. But you talk about players like Wilt, you're talking about players like Bill Russell, you're talking about Kareem, you're talking about Dr. J. You know what I mean? Like they're iconic.
I suppose the difference would say, and I'm saying this, I'm trying to say this in the most tasteful way that I can. The difference between Wilt and Dr. J, though, is like Dr. J is still out there and signing, whereas true. Wilt is and will not be signing anymore. And I think that's for me the big one.
Well, yeah, it's not like there's going to be a surprise set where there's random more autos.
Yeah, that's right. And I feel like also that sort of moves him up my to buy list just that little bit more because I just feel like, Bill Russell, I felt like that with Bill Russell too. I was it did give me a little bit more of a sort of a sense of urgency, I suppose. Yeah. All right. Let's keep moving. Any last thoughts about Wilt, mate?
Interesting comp on Luka.
It's not so much a comp, but I just felt like this week, every single time that Luka game was brought up, it was like, Wilt Chamberlain was mentioned too. So
it was like Luka had dropped 100 points.
Yeah.
Maybe that means rebounds are worth like 4 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
So this is my current obsession at the moment is Cade Cunningham, because we talked about this last week and I've not given it up basically. So Cade Cunningham, I've just been watching his prices move, and part of it is because I'm interested to see how low it's going to go, or where is the bottom. I'm trying to work that out. So the one that I've been looking at the most though is the Cade Cunningham downtown. So everyone at home, you can do this. If you go to 130point.com
It's an
/sales.
interactive segment now.
Yeah, you can do it at home, or even doing it when you're listening on replay. It'll all work the same. Cade Cunningham downtown, and downtown is 2 words, and just hit search on that. Go right down to the bottom of the page, and you'll see a sale for 10,000 USD. Sorry, I lied to you. 12,900 USD. If you then scroll back up to the top, you'll see the last couple of sales read like this: 1,600, 1,500, 1,852, 1,445. So for me, this is where it gets really
we're going back
interesting.
to the 7th of November.
Where's the date on that $12,000 sale?
Yep. Sale date, November 7, 2022.
Oh, you're telling me that. Okay,
Yep.
yeah, sure. Yeah.
So 12,900 USD.
And so
2 days later, someone thought they picked up an absolute steal at 7,100, and it just drops from there.
Yeah. So the way that my wife said this is, whoever bought it at $10,000 isn't looking so good at the moment.
This is true. Whoever sold it for $12,000 is looking great.
She's nothing but succinct, my wife. I'll definitely say that. So my feeling about this is a little bit like we talked about with Luka before, because he is down so much, and this is a premium prospect, and this is a premium card out of a premium set. These are the things that give me some reassurances that this is a good purchase. Now, in saying that, it's still 1,400 or 1,500 USDs. Like, we're not talking a small amount of money. The really interesting thing for me, though, is when you now go onto eBay, none of them are for auction. So people have pulled them. So that makes me think or feel that we are either at the bottom. So we've seen the bottom, 1,400.
Yep.
And from now, people will put them for, sale by best offer, or, by private sale. So I still think that, if you're spending time into, trying to pick up cards at the right price, this is definitely something you should at least, look at.
I think it's interesting. I think it's very interesting when a player is injured.
Yep.
How their hobby value moves.
Yeah, well, I think the really good analogy for me is the stock market, where it goes up and down in real time. Cards are very much like that for me.
It is, but
whether that's a good analogy or not,
it is. But you look at this flat out crash. There's nothing to that you. So the last sale was yesterday.
Yeah.
For 1,600. So there's a little bit of stability now, I guess, around that 1,600 US, 1,500,
yeah,
1,800.
Stability, but it's like you could almost say it's gone down by 10 times, right?
It has, but but you're asking if that's the bottom. That it's okay. So it's found a price point there. So we don't think it's going to fall out anymore.
Yeah.
The question is, has something come out about his injury? Like, what's the driving factor that's actually got the card to stabilize, or to what would the best term be?
I think at some point a card just becomes a bargain that you can't walk past. And I think, the downtowns, they are an extremely collectible card. And also too, they're really hard cards to get.
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to say, it's definitely not an easy card.
If you open a case, you might get one. Like, actually, the way they've done the cases this year, it's not even a guarantee that you'll get one downtown per case.
Yeah,
so
that's the thing. Like, a rare card like this.
Yeah.
Like, well, I can use my example, because I've made the decision. I definitely want to get. I've got a Cade to 199 that I was gonna sell.
Yeah, let's talk about this. This is cool. Yeah.
I was gonna move it on, and the prices just went down and down and down
Yeah.
and down. And I'm not giving it away. So instead, I'm going to send it off.
So you don't
for
want to
grading.
auction it on eBay at the moment. You want to hold on to it.
I want to hold on to it. So
Yeah.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it off for grading.
Yeah.
I think it's gradable. It's probably 45, 55 centering.
Yeah.
Like I'm debating, but like I trust surfaces will be fine because it's literally pack fresh. You would know this. You pulled it.
Yeah.
But like, why would I sell it for next to nothing when the guy hasn't come back from injury?
So everything that I've read on, so I am not a doctor, by the way, and neither am I a bone specialist. So I'm just basically processing what I've read. There's nothing out there that says that this is
career-ending.
A career-ending injury. If anything, they're just doing right by this guy and surgically fixing him. The other thing to keep in mind about bones is, remember what Paul George did to his leg when he was playing internationally, and his leg got caught underneath the backboard and it literally went like a T-shaped. So bones actually, when they break, they heal back stronger. So my cup half full on this is that he's actually going to come back and be, better from it. So, his leg is going to be stronger.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about this. I think you just pick the right time to buy, and I think Cade at the moment is a really good time to buy.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing is obviously PSA based on projected value of the card, so it's probably the best time for me to grade the damn thing. So
yeah, sorry, I interrupted your not segue, your point.
But the point about
this is
sending it off now when he's at all-time low.
Yeah,
seems like a really good time to get in that bargain basement pricing from PSA.
And grading prices have also flattened out. So in some ways you're winning two ways. You're not paying those ridiculous prices that were on offer 18 months ago.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like if we were paying future prices on it and he was selling it was like 4K or something stupid because it's a PSA 10.
Yeah.
That's a bit of an upcharge, right?
Yeah, look, but also too, you'd wear the upcharge. If it does come back at 10.
If it comes back at 10, correct.
That's delicious. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go on my little mini rant again for these people that keep saying, how bad the hobby is. I've found a few Cades that have sold recently. A Spectra to 10, PSA 9 sold for $510 USD this week. So, I suppose you could argue that, both ways, couldn't you? You could say, oh, well, that should have sold for, 2,000, or my perspective is, well, that's still $750 that just sold for. Like, it's not 750 cents that it just sold for. Like, I think that's a very strong price considering everything that's happening.
Yep.
And again, the other thing that I actually take back from that too is I think PSA 9 is an excellent grade for Spectra. Again, those thick cards are just so hard to grade. Like, I'm probably sounding like a bit of a broken record tonight, but
look, I still think PSA 9 gets a tough rap. You know what I mean? Like, people treat it like it's a raw card.
It does, in the sense that because there's so many cards that have been graded now, so you can be a bit picky. But with that, like, low pop, tough stuff to grade, you do have to sort of factor that in a little bit differently.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
The other one I found is a National Treasures vertical RPA, and it is a beautiful patch in it. It's not game worn, obviously. That's numbered to 75. They sent it off to BGS, so that came back a 9. BGS can be a little bit more friendlier on thicker card grades. That sold for 4,500. Just to give you some, I suppose, relativity on that, the Josh Giddey sold for 10K not that long ago, numbered to 99.
Wow.
So you can say 4,500 is a lot, but you could also then say, well, the Giddey that sold for 10, that's big business.
It's time and a place stuff, though, isn't it? Isn't it? With cards like this, and we've talked about that, how it is like the stock market.
Yeah.
And picking your time to buy or sell certain cards is very... You can miss a window very easily.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, because it happens in such real time and doesn't happen so quickly.
Yeah, well, you talk about a player like literally breaking a leg. That can be career-ending. There's different things that... like knee injuries, all kinds of leg injuries.
Yeah.
Where it's a hardwood surface,
Yeah.
and leg injuries, back injuries, things like that happen, and players never recover.
Yeah, totally.
And that can be the difference between someone being an amazing prospect and just fading off into nothingness.
Yeah.
Because they are prospects after all. Remember, they haven't proven themselves.
They
So
they are prospects, but I think also to players like Cade and let's even say Zion in the same sentence and Luka,
yep.
you know, I think these are very high end prospects, and I think there's the risk profile is somewhat less because of how good at basketball they are. You know, I think that's the most simplest way you can sort of
Yep.
spell it out. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, this is interesting. Card ladder sale prices on the Raw Prism rookie card is
Yep.
down 83%. So it last sold for $2.25. So I think we have to ring that up for pocket change. That's
Cade
actually
Cunningham's now pocket change. You.
that's delicious.
Oh boy. Oh, the mighty have fallen.
So that's sold 1,200 times in the last 3 months.
Yep. Yep. It's definitely an interesting one as far as where it's
His silvers are down 18%. So last sold for 62 US. That's interesting. The blue to 199 last sold for 300. That's down 70%.
Mm-hmm. I know there's only a handful of
Not heaps on there, is there?
yeah.
And then the cracked ice to 125, that's sold for $455. That's down 64%. So yeah, what's your feeling on those ones, Ad?
Look, it's tough. It's really tough. We've got a player that's injured in a market where people are trying to turn cards around a lot. So people are trying to get back some return so they can reinvest. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of turnover, but as we've seen, as you turn it over, it's diminishing returns.
Yeah.
But people are like, well, I want to sell it now for 300 because in 2 weeks it'll be 200, and I want to buy more product. I want to buy a player that's spiking, and people move cards to buy cards.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's an interesting time. It's definitely a buyer's market right now, and that's what all this data is reflecting.
Yeah.
We're in a buyer's market where, because of the rapid way things change, if someone's off the boil, people try and offload, and I think there are a lot of bargains to be had there.
Yeah.
That's probably the simplest way of looking at it, and this is where you make the gains is buying cards on this dip, but it's also a prospecting game.
Yes.
Cade may never come back. Cade may come back and play for a trashy Detroit team that never do anything and just be a good player and a crap team.
And the rookie hype is gone, and then we're all
Yeah.
looking at the next rookie prospect, which is what we do every year. Yeah. Look,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a world that we live in for that. Okay, so his silver PSA 10 last sold for $637, and that's down 20%. I actually thought that the down on that would be like a lot further. There is some ups and downs there, so you could have bought it for $455, and you could have also bought it for $960. In the last 3 months, that's how much it's fluctuated.
Yeah.
So the person actually comes to mind that I wanted to comp, because in my head, even when he was injured, he didn't plummet that much as Jamal Murray. And
okay,
I'm not saying that they're equal.
I thought you were about to say Zion.
No, they're not. But like, they're guard prospects. They both had leg injuries.
Yep.
I'm giving Cade a little bit of leeway here in terms of how good of a team he plays on, because I think Detroit have improved under his leadership. So obviously not to the same effect here. Anyway, so Jamal Murray, silver PSA 10 last sold for $220, and
he's actually down 30%,
which actually surprises me a lot. I would have thought he would be up a bit more, but hear me out on this. I would suggest that the lowest the Cade would go to is what Jamal Murray is. That's what I was going to sort of use as a yardstick.
It's a relatively good comp. I like it.
One person being injured and one person playing in the playoffs. Do you know what I mean? And that's even. I still think that's a good price comparison for those two.
Yeah.
So I would actually say that the silver is. I think that's a risk to buy it at 637. Whereas the
For
base,
sure.
on the other hand, is selling for 52. I don't see a
Mm.
world where that would not come back to $100 as a PSA 10 once he's back playing again.
As long as he maintains some level of ability. Yeah. Performs at a certain level. Like he comes back as expected. I don't know.
I just think the cost of buying a card, sending it off for grading and getting it back, if you can get one for 52 US and that fits into your budget,
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting sort of play.
Yeah. I think I don't see anything wrong with that at all.
I know we also have said in the past, though, not to buy base cards, but I think this sort of breaks the mold a little bit because it's such a
Well,
a
you're
big
buying on the dip,
prospect.
right? You're buying a
Yeah.
base card for 3/5 of nothing. And then, you know what I mean? Like, you're not paying $400 or $500 for a base card.
So the pop count on that is 434.
Yeah.
I want to look at see what LaMelo Ball is because that's the other sort of relative comparison too in terms of pop, I reckon.
True.
So the LaMelo Ball pop is 2,797. That's
Yep.
actually really interesting. So that's what five and a little bit times more LaMelos than Cade's. And in a way, I was actually expecting that LaMelo number to be lower because remember that during that time was when grading prices were so high.
Yeah.
It was almost like these people who are selling the LaMelo for $76.
I'm making a loss. There's
I
no way on earth.
I cannot believe that they bought that card, graded it for at least $100 US,
Yeah.
and then
But this is the thing about
pay your
people.
eBay fees. You know,
But that's the other part. As I was saying, it's the return on investment. It's capital that's tied up. Even if it's declined in value, the asset is still they need to make it liquid so they can move it for new product.
and probably at the end of the day, that was the wrong play to make at that particular time.
Sure, of course.
People were buying base at that time. Well, that was tailing off already, but then that really tailed off in the last sort of 12 months. So
the market's definitely corrected in the last 12 months for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, what's next in the run sheet, Ad?
I just had the run sheet up.
Here we go. NBA standings. How about you pick a team to talk about and tell us why you picked that team, and then we can pick out a few players from that team and run through them.
Okay, let's talk about the Grizzlies.
Okay, why do you want to talk about the Grizzlies?
Because I love Ja Morant.
Okay.
That's literally it.
Yep.
You know,
no taxi backsies. We're doing the Grizzlies. Let's go.
You're doing the Grizz?
Yeah.
You're doing the Grizz? Are we going to do a team each?
Yeah, sure.
I actually haven't seen much of the Grizzlies this year. I'm just seeing them look very impressive. I do want to have a quick chat about Ja. Because it's Ja Morant.
Yeah.
And Ja's awesome.
I think we should talk about Ja. And it's also a good time to do a bit of a price check on him because we haven't spoken about him for a long time.
It's Ja Watch.
Hey, do we need to almost have a new rule where instead of starting at the base PSA 10, we start at the silver because we want to start moving collectors away from bases?
That's not a bad idea. I like that.
All right. Let's start with the silver. Silver PSA 10 last sold for $899.50.
That is actually down 17.5%.
Why? Why on earth is he down?
I don't understand it. All
right, I'm looking at this because this is ridiculous, but this is so awesome. The Fast Break Neon Green number to 5, Pop 2 PSA 10, last sold for $7,800. It's actually sold twice in the last 3 months. It's sold for $9,600, so it's actually down quite a chop.
And it's fast break, so no one wants it, right?
Well, yeah, but still, it's number to 5.
Number to 5. That's what you get exactly
and
right.
The neon green is like ugly good, you know? It's quite a nice card.
It seems pretty I'm trying to get a closer look at it. Oh man, if that was a all right, so I'll put this back to you quickly.
Talk to me.
If it was Fox on that card, would you get it with the green?
I would add it to my list.
Yeah.
But I would probably also say too, like some of that Fox stuff, even numbered to 25, it goes for a lot.
Yeah.
Like
you'll be surprised. I just like the green. No, I was thinking purple and green.
Purple and green.
I'm a joke. I like the Joker. I'm a bit of a DC Comics buff.
Okay.
But when you look at the player's uniform, it's light blue and the green. I'm like, it's a bit of a weird clash, but purple might look good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So This is what.
The orange to 49 last sold for 13K.
Okay.
Do you know when that sale was though? It was back in October.
Yeah, look, some of this lower numbered stuff doesn't get moved a ton. And, there's a couple of good reasons for it. A, it's hard to come by. And B, the cash is serious money. So this is interesting. So the 199, which can be affordable, for some players, and also it looks so schmick, that sort of dark blue.
Yeah.
That last sold for 7,300. That is actually down 11% too. So I'm a bit perplexed by this because he's playing well. The Grizzlies are doing well, although he has been injured a little bit this year, hasn't he?
Yeah, a little bit, but he's been in the MVP discussion. This is what I don't get.
I think Ja is an injury risk though.
Sure, he's already been in like, yeah, I don't know. He's that flashy player. Who's his comp?
Well, the obvious one is Derrick Rose.
Is he Derrick Rose?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
And the other thing about them is the way that they used to. Well, not they used to. The way that Derrick Rose used to go to the basket, I think you can also make very direct comparisons of that to how Ja plays today. And essentially, Rose just wore his body out. I think Thibbs playing him the way that he did, that didn't help either.
Yeah.
And if you do believe that, I can also then see how you would be a little bit wary of spending a heap of money on Ja.
Yeah. This guy is currently in the top 5 for the MVP race.
And he should be.
As far as
he should
NBA.com. Yeah.
They're a great team, although they've lost 4 out of their last 5, but they're an amazing team.
It's swings and roundabouts. Will be, they're in the top 4 of the West. There's no doubt in my mind they're a top 4 in the West team.
Yep. That's fine. I won't disagree with you on that.
But it just surprises me that Ja isn't. It's interesting that Ja and Luka don't have any parallels.
In what sense?
Like that he's not treated the same, like not looked on the same way as Luka.
You think his stuff is too cheap?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or does Ja need to win in order to get that spike? Does he need to earn it? This goes back to the point about Luka not having the accolades. I think people are paying the accolade price.
I would say that when Ja came out, there was so much attention on Zion, particularly hobby attention.
Fair.
That probably reflected a little bit. And then he definitely caught up. And you could even argue that he's overtaken Zion in some sort of hobby aspects.
Yeah.
But I would almost say it's almost like there's this enormous sort of figure overhanging him. That's where it sits in for my head.
Yeah.
And then if you're making the comp to Luka, well, probably at the end of the day, that 18-19 class, I think it was very highly regarded. But at the end of the day, hobby-wise, Luka just was heads and shoulders above everybody. So a couple of other cards that have popped up in my feed looking at Ja Morant, the 1920 Sensational Signatures. It's a Prism autograph. BGS 9 for the card, 10 for the auto. That sold for $725 USD.
Yeah.
Look, we've spoken about this with Prism cards already. They're not the most beautiful cards, but I don't think that's a terrible purchase at that price.
Yeah, I don't think it's a terrible purchase. I think it's quite a good purchase.
Yeah.
Who
else on the Grizzlies do you want to chat about, mate?
Let's have a look. Who's performing? Because
for me, it's Desmond Bane. What's happening with
Bane? Bane's the one that I think is sort of the next prospect behind Ja, or more of a prospect actually. The prospect you'd want to.
So, Andrew Dean is super high on this guy.
I like him,
and this is for me very interesting because his last sale for a silver raw sold for 13 US.
Yes.
Now his prices are up and down like a yo-yo, so I think you can be patient on this guy and say put a bid in of $18 and just see where it goes to, because and also too there's a lot of them that are being sold. The range on this though is crazy, $50 and $1. So let's just say we take out the bottom one and we take out the top. The range then goes to 40 and 10. So if you're playing that sort of flipping game, even in real time, you can have a little bit of luck there. Or the other way you can look at it too is buy them on the low and put them away, because if you respect him. So I think long term viability on that roster is probably more towards Desmond Bane, because I think Dylan Brooks plays too many minutes for that team, personally.
Yeah.
And I think as Bane establishes himself more, because he's definitely established on that team.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So the other one for me is Jaren Jackson, because
Okay. Yeah,
he
he
is
was
someone,
prospected as it was really
Luka rookie year, probably got caught up in the hype of that. And, he was a high pick, so that's fair enough. Silver
yeah.
PSA 10, last sold for 97. I don't like that, but I don't dislike it either. I'm very lukewarm on that. I think he's a risky purchase.
Yeah. That's tricky.
I like the upside, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, when is this guy ever going to have the Fruja factor? When is he ever going to have the
I don't think
pop?
he's ever had it, and I don't think he's ever going to have it. That's the problem.
So I think the two things for me that would make me optimistic about this guy is that I think earlier on in his career, and rightfully so, he did have that sort of reputation of being injury prone. And I think that he's got his body to the point now where they know how to manage him. They know how to load manage him. They know how to rest him at the right times. I think they've got all that under control.
Mm.
So, yes, he will be in and out of the lineup, but I would also say, too, it's electively in and out of the lineup. He's not, so much injured the way that he once was. I'd also say, too, if you look at the pictures of him over the last couple of years, he has definitely matured his bodies.
His
And I think,
body, yeah.
Again, being optimistic, his game fits the pro game now. Like, he's sort of very
Okay.
multi-dimensional skill set is what bigs are expected to do now. And, he's not the same rebound and go down the court like Domantas Sabonis is, but he does have that in his game, and he's got really good 3-point range. So if you're being optimistic, you can say, well, this guy's highly skilled. He's going to have a good 1-2 game eventually with Ja. Ja's going to drag him to the Western Conference Finals or the finals. He's going to get a bit of shine. $100 for a PSA 10 silver is not crazy.
Not crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the counter argument to that, do you reckon?
Look, I think he may have seen his peak, and he
Okay.
hobby wise, I don't.
He might have seen his peak in the crazy time, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like,
but if you're buying now, you can still, equivalate.
yeah,
Can you teach me how to say that word?
reacclimate.
Okay, let's use that
Is that
word.
what we're gonna? Is that what we're doing?
I'll roll with that at this point. That's fine.
I don't know. I don't know. Once we start getting, do you use the term aging prospects? At what point are you no longer a prospect?
He's still very much a prospect. I think if you're still in your first 3 or 4 years, and
Okay.
and also you've been injured in those 3 or 4 years,
Yep.
like Bol, you still think he's a prospect.
Okay.
He's
Yeah.
for
yeah,
me,
yeah,
he's
fair,
very
fair.
much a prospect.
Fair. Yep.
Yeah.
Bol's a good one. Bol's a good one.
Anyone else on the Grizzlies roster you want to talk about?
I was going to look at go a bit deeper, and I was going to say Brandon Clark. Brandon Clark.
Do it. Do Brandon Clark.
3 years in, seems to be performing at a reasonable level this year in Memphis.
He's a skilled big man who can score when he's put into the right spots.
Yep.
If someone's creating for him and he's finishing, he's fantastic.
Yeah, and he's only been in the league a few years. I mean, let's have a look. I'm just trying to see if there's anything that's really. I don't want to look at base cards of players off the bench.
So my problem with Brandon Clark is, where does he sit on the pecking order?
Yeah,
I'm
looking at the fact that he's played in the league. He's only been in the league for 3 years. Is Memphis his finishing spot? Does he become a key factor here and make a name for himself elsewhere? Like, where does he go? Is his time in Memphis going to elevate his status in the league?
My feeling with Memphis is actually they like to bring people in and keep them for a long time. So the classic example for me is Steven Adams. Why did they bring that guy and extend him straight away? I think that team, that franchise is very loyal to the people that they have on their roster.
It's a systematic thing, yeah.
There was no need for them to extend him the way that they did. Like, in fact, I actually think it was counterproductive to them building the roster out in a more meaningful way, because Adams doesn't fit what's happening in the league at the moment. Look, maybe he brings other things to that team: maturity, toughness, strength, a big body in the middle. Okay, yeah, I understand all that and I acknowledge it. But I would also say too, that also takes away minutes from Triple J, takes away minutes from Clark. Like they got Santi Aldama. He could, pinch
Yeah.
play some 4. Put someone else at the 5. So look, my feeling with Brandon Clark is I'm a little bit over prospecting people who might come good. And I'm probably more interested at the
Yeah.
moment in prospecting guys like Cade Cunningham, where
Okay.
you're buying Cade on the low for different reasons other than skill. And same as Luka. Like Luka in the
I like that.
offseason,
Yeah.
like I was really happy to pick up some of the stuff I bought of Luka in the
Yeah.
offseason because for me, there was no reason this guy dropped. Whereas Brandon Clark, like,
True. Like he's got to do a lot to prove that his cards are worth anything.
yeah, like $26 for a PSA 10 silver and Brandon Clark, that's fine. If you buy that card, actually, I've got no problem with it.
Yeah.
But what's the ceiling of that card? Well, nothing compared to Triple J, maybe, and nothing compared to Luka. You know what I mean? So that's
Compared
probably
to yeah.
that's where
Yeah.
I'm sitting with that at the moment. I'm like, I've got
That's
it.
actually that's good. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Is where's the ceiling? If this guy explodes, where's the ceiling?
I don't know,
$100.
maybe $100. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a very valid point. I guess that's the same reason I'm critical of Luka. Because if he doesn't succeed, I think Lukas are worth less than what you're paying for them. But you're investing big money. That said, this guy's in the top 10 of MVP voting, and he's always there. It's a different argument.
Well, Luka's going to be top 2 in MVP voting this year. Like I suspect.
Yeah.
I think it's going to come down to him and Joker this year.
You really think it'll be Luka and Joker?
Well, okay, maybe.
I've got Jar. I've got Tatum. I don't think KD will be in there for long. Zion's making a push.
Well, I think. Okay, so you've just named a few guys. So I think
There's someone I haven't named yet. I think it's Giannis.
Well, Giannis is minutes restricted. Ja Morant plays on a team that probably a better overall team around Ja. See, I think last year when Ja was out for 10 or 15 games and they went on that massive winning streak, in some ways, actually, I think that hurt him. And
Sure.
I know that you shouldn't be thinking about things from last
Individual
season.
performance-wise, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that addresses Ja. I've addressed
Giannis. I don't think
Tatum's on a very good team and he's got a lot around him. I think that actually negatively affects his MVP.
Okay.
And the numbers that Joker's putting up and also their team performance, like the Nuggets are 22-12 at the moment. They're the second best record in the West, so that would put them the third best record overall. Like I think that has to put him into the top 2. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right,
interesting.
So the team that I want to talk about is the Nuggets. So this is the perfect segue.
I like it. I think it.
There's actually a lot to talk about with the Nuggets. And the reason there's a lot to talk about is because you've got Joker to talk about, which is, what we were just doing. But the other thing you've got to talk about too is the other guys that sort of sit in the peripheries, because the Nugget front office, I actually think, have done a really amazing job with hitting in the draft at the spot they've drafted at. So what I mean by that is Bones Highland. I think Michael Porter Jr. has come good. I think Jamal Murray was a really good pick. And so, hobby-wise, where do these guys, sort of play out? And I think it's worth talking about. I also think we should check back in with Michael Porter Jr. because remember what he used to sell for, and then he absolutely tanked because he was badly injured too. And now he's made a comeback this year and he looks pretty good. And the other thing I would say about him too is I think his game's actually matured a little bit too, because I think he was very one-dimensional. He was very much just like, oh God, okay. Well, this is not what I was expecting to see. So, sorry, I just pulled up his prices. That's what I got interrupted then. Look, I was saying last year I think he was very one-dimensional. He was just a scorer. Now I actually think he's a bit more of a basketball player. And he's making a bit more basketball player reads, passing, scoring. He's actually setting screens now and cutting and, doing just a few more
He's doing the right things as far as a teammate goes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I suppose playing with Joker, who can pass you the ball, like that really helps a lot. All right.
Yeah.
So I don't have the 12-month data on this, and I actually wish I did. I wish I had a premium card ladder account.
We need to get on those guys because I reckon card ladder would
If you are listening, Card Ladder, we would really like a
We-
premium account. Alrighty.
We'd love
So
it so we can go through the data. Let's
in the
do it.
last 3 months, he's down 49%. So I'm putting this at an A+ buy. He last sold for $96
Under
USD
100 USD.
for a PSA 10. Okay, so the reason I put this as an A+ buy, this guy has the Fruja factor. He's down.
Does he still have the Fruja factor though?
Yeah, he does. Some people have
Okay.
it and they never
Okay.
lose it. And I put Porter into that.
Nice.
I would also say too, now I'm guessing these numbers, but I would say he sold for at least 600 USD, if not more, on his silver PSA 10 at one point. So essentially let's just say he's down 4 times. I'm being conservative now. There's no reason he wasn't down 4 times. And then I actually think this year Denver is really well placed to make a deep run. So hear me out on this. So the Pelicans are on top, and they could be one injury away for being an easy outing for someone in the playoffs. The Grizzlies, I think, are still finding their feet, and I think team-wise are at least 1 or 2 years behind the Nuggets. The Clippers, with their load management of Kawhi and Paul George, okay, yes, they've got a good team, and I think they've done well to get the record they have. I still don't think they're a formidable opponent in the playoffs.
Fair call.
The Suns, I really love the Suns, but in saying that, they haven't been great this year. I think the Kings, as much as the bias I have, I think they're going to be first round and out this year. The Mavericks could be problematic for the Nuggets, but at the same time, I probably think the Nuggets will outlast them.
I feel like Jokic's shoulders are stronger than Luka's. I've said that.
I think the Nuggets will outlast the Blazers and the Jazz.
Yeah.
And I would also say the Warriors are a bit soft at the moment and potentially could be soft going to the playoffs. So there's a place in my heart that says the Nuggets will go to the finals this year. And I'm very excited about this. Like, I love that team. The other thing I'd say,
window. This is definitely their window.
They're playoff tested and they're battle hardened and they've been together. Like, this nucleus has been together for a very long time. And there's not that many sort of teams that can proclaim that. The Celtics can say it, and then maybe the Suns you could say
are
it.
we eyeing a Denver-Boston finals?
I mean, that'd be delicious. That's two very good basketball teams.
I'd definitely be hoping that Denver wins that.
So in saying all of that, I'm applying that back to Michael Porter Jr. We could be looking back in a couple of months saying, why on earth do we not pick these up for $100 each? So, and I feel fine.
Well, if you're really, really, really feeling like having a bit of a flutter on a Michael Porter Jr.,
talk to me.
Red to $299, last sold for $157.52.
Yeah, look, and that's if that fits your budget and your price point, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Like, I was looking at the blue, and the blue's still around the $480 mark.
Yeah.
It's on the slide as well.
Yeah.
So it was up near $1,000 3 months ago. But yeah, the red to $299 for less than $200 US, it seems like a relatively good buy.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, as you said, it's budget dependent, but
so we've already touched on Jamal Murray this episode. I don't think we need to do that again. So that takes us straight to the Joker. So he's up 15%, and I'm almost like doing a sort of a hallelujah, praise the Lord. I'm so glad that he's up at least 10% because in my mind, this guy has been savagely undervalued and underrated in the hobby world.
Yeah.
So his last sales are 2,400, 2,410, 2,700, 1,830, and 2,100. So there is some flex there from 1,800 to 2,700. But, I think you've missed the train on that if you wanted to get him dirt cheap.
You wanted to get it, yeah.
So the reason why I think this is even a good buy today is that the pop count is low on this. It's 136.
Yep.
He has put up exceptional personal numbers. So it's just, hopefully time that he then gets some team success. And then he's just proved to be so reliable and so durable. And the way that he plays, so this is the perfect actually comparison. The way that he plays basketball sort of close to the ground, he's like the anti-Ja Morant. And as scared as I am about buying Ja because of the way he plays above the ring, I'm just as safe buying Joker because of how under the ring he plays. So
Yeah.
does that make sense? That sort of like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's
I
what Nikola Jokic is an alien. He has to be an alien.
or just a really good basketball player that
An alien.
has, a body that he's just maximized what he's got. I think that's the best way to say it.
It's
'Cause
interesting in this age of
he's
unicorns,
not a great athlete when you think about it.
which makes it even more phenomenal.
Yeah, but yeah, he's just such a smart guy.
Yeah, it's look, yeah, I don't know I don't know what you can say on the man. He is a
An amazing basketball player, and I feel honored to watch him play.
yep. I think it's
All right, here we go. Pocket change / Denver Nuggets deep dive. Bones Highland.
Pocket change. Wait a second, I've got a Cade Cunningham blue. Oh wait,
Bones Highland silver rookie card sold for $1.
I'm.
That
Sorry,
is so delicious. A silver.
I was drinking
select.
eggnog when an auction ended. Let's just say that. I was trying to get a Bones. Yeah.
Sold for $1. Another one, a silver prism, sold for $3.25. One sold for $6. All right, I think this is just buy one or two of these. I think that's worth a flutter. Even if you lose all of your money, you can send me a hate email later on about it. I'll cop that on the chin. I think this guy's got the Fruja factor in that he's exciting. He's a little bit Vernon Maxwell-ish, kind of like you're not too sure what this guy's going to do next, which I like. And I think you do need that occasionally just sort of to put a crazy person into a game and take them off the leash. And again, I think they're going to have a deep run. So, yeah. Really interesting. Really interesting that his optic stuff in some places has been outselling his prism.
Oh, wow.
That's upside down. So normally it's the polar opposites.
It's well and truly the other stuff.
There's no card ladder data on this dude, but he's actually looking at this. It actually seems to me like he's trending downwards.
Bones? Yeah. That's all right. That's interesting.
So that I would also give that an A+ stamp.
The Bones? You know, if you go into card ladder and just use Bones as the search term,
yeah,
you get Dr. Bones McCoy from Star Trek. Just a little bit of information there.
Useless information, but still entertaining. Yeah,
exactly. You just use random words on card ladder, and sometimes things appear. I went for pocket change. I went down just before Christmas and saw our friends at EJ Cards.
Yeah, great.
And I did flick through the box of goodies.
Great.
And I picked up some, what I would say is some nice little pocket change.
Let's go.
Tyrese Halliburton. Select. It's the prism, but it's the retail prism, the blue. I'll just get the right camera to look at that.
Yep.
There we go. What was it? $10?
Not bad.
There we go. Couldn't help myself. I saw a Josh Primo.
How much did that set you back?
$5. Red, white, and blue. $14, but I think I haggled it down to 10. Was a Desmond Bain.
Okay.
Select silver, which is nice. And for the same, I got a Tyrese Maxey. $10 in the select.
I think the best buy of that was the Maxey.
You reckon the Maxey? Yeah. I still reckon the Primo is to be.
Maxey is quite popular hobby wise.
Yes, true.
Yeah, and
I don't know. Yeah. Desmond Bain might be a good pickup. You never know.
Yeah, look, I would say longer term.
Yeah. But Maxey, I saw it and went, yeah, you ripper. Thank you. Even though I did want another Halliburton, so just
look, I've been a little bit quiet on the card buying front at the moment. I wouldn't say that I'm in a lull or anything like that. I'm just waiting, looking. I'm just trying to pick my spots a little bit more.
It's fair.
In saying that, I did pick up some very tasty pocket change this week.
Nice.
I got a Davion Mitchell rookie Spectra card, numbered to 99 for $4.76. Let me check the postage on that. Plus $5 postage. So in total, $9. So we're probably looking at around $14 Aussie to get that sent out to me. I feel pretty happy about that.
So you should.
Yeah,
I think
pretty
it's really good. Yeah.
Alrighty, I just want to finish off the show with 2 random cards just to talk about, just because it's fun to talk about cards. And I want to start talking more about older cards, and I want to just talk about random cards. So
And how have you discovered these random cards?
this is from the Card Ladder Index. So I just scrolled through that to see
Yep.
what's going up, what's going down. So 1970s tops Pete Maravich PSA 8 is up 147%. So what is the point about talking about this? Well, it's sort of, for me, it teaches 2 lessons. One is that all cards can go up at any time. So if you're buying the right card at the right price, if something happens for whatever that thing is, it can spike. So, and I think we've spoken about this in the past with Jordan inserts, where your opinion was that at some point they're all going to go up. So if you're buying them at the right price point, you'll do well.
Yeah.
I think some of this retro stuff fits into that same sort of thing too. So yeah, that sold for 5,200 recently. It is on average sold in that price period is 2,100. So that's for me a really interesting one to look at. And the other one to talk about, which I am surprised that I'm interested to talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it anyway, is the 84-85 star card. And
Michael Jordan, the inverted commas rookie?
Well, yeah, I think this is where the controversy came from, is that it was traditionally considered that the Fleer was the rookie card. And then, so my tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theory about this is that the reason why the powers that be pushed this through because originally it wasn't considered basically a card or a card that should be traded. But then when PSA decided that they would grade it, they could also make money off it. And then when the people that own Card Ladder and also PSA is the same person, so then they would also aggregate it onto their Card Ladder, and then they can make money off it that way too. So I know that's a very pessimistic viewpoint, but
what's the story with the star card? Is it because the star product was not unlicensed? Is it unlicensed?
It's unlicensed, yeah.
Okay. It's an it's such a, because there's different licensing issues. Once again, using the inverted commas, but it's, I don't know. It's a 1984-85 card and it's got Michael Jordan on it, right?
I think the other thing about it too is that his rookie Fleer card is 1986, whereas the star is 1984, but I think it was released in 1985.
Correct.
So, yeah, I think that's the other thing about it too, is that it's like, some people say it's like his real rookie year card.
I don't want to get into that argument with anybody.
No, like, I think it's worth having, but at the same time...
Oh, for sure, but it's crazy, right? Like, I just think because the Fleer Jordan rookie card is so iconic. Opening the can of worms that suggests there's a Jordan card that was printed before it. Yeah, it's an interesting narrative. That's all I'll say. Interesting narrative.
It's interesting to comp the 2 pictures sort of like hand in hand, because...
Yeah.
Not hand in hand, but screen on screen. It's a really ugly picture on that 84-85 card, whereas, like what you just said, that is literally an iconic photo. It's almost the Jumpman logo, really, isn't it?
It's synonymous, like it's the card when people talk about collecting.
And the thing that I've really liked about the last couple of years with the photography they've put into Prism, the big dogs, they've put a lot of effort into getting those pictures, right? Look, some of them I can tell they were like, what's the stock photo of this player on the floor? Yep, that will do. We'll chuck that in. But, the LeBrons, the Zions, the Lukas, like, they're actually beautiful pieces of photography. I would put that 86 Fleer Jordan card to be in that same sort of thing.
Yeah.
We've segued so hard here. So back to the 84 star. That's
the other card we were talking about.
It's up 16%. This is the really interesting thing for me. So BGS 8 last sold for $22,000.
Yep.
I don't want to say this in like a negative way. I think that's such a terrible purchase.
So it's not an auto buy. It's not a snap buy.
So you can get a PSA 8 of the 86 Fleer. It's currently selling for 6,400.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually sitting here scratching my head. For people who listen to the podcast at the moment,
If you can't hear it, Russell is scratching his head.
I am, and I'm scratching it like furiously. Yeah.
It is a bit confusing.
Yeah.
Well, but this is the thing, right?
I think whoever paid that for it has got burnt, frankly.
So the last sold price for the PSA 9 version of
The star card
No.
we're talking about Fleer?
Yeah, so the Fleer one is the PSA 9 last sold for 17.3K.
That's crazy town, isn't it?
Why would you get
So
a
I think
a BGS 8?
So I think the people who have bought the star card are essentially prospecting on this card
Yeah.
to say that
This is the genuine
eventually
article.
it's going to be considered the rookie card.
There's no way on earth that the 86 Fleer is not the card.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think some things in the hobby are what they are, and you can't try and outsmart it. This is like me loading up on Select, thinking that one day the market's going to catch up and everyone's going to come around that Select is the better product. It doesn't matter. Like, the fact is Prism is king, and then it doesn't matter
if they look worse. Prism is king.
Even if I pumped it up on the podcast every week and, I don't know, we did some type of advertisement campaign, it doesn't matter. Prism is king. I would say the same thing about this. Fleer is king, and this star card.
You can say what you want about it, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Michael Jordan could come out and say, no, this is my genuine rookie card.
Yeah.
And the rest of the world would say, no, Michael, you're wrong.
I mean, yeah, not his inner circle of yes men.
Could you imagine that? One day, Michael Jordan tweets, the star card is the real rookie card. No, Michael, you are wrong.
Is Michael Jordan on Twitter? I couldn't imagine that's something that he would...
Day one, he's just going to create a Twitter account and get verified straight away.
I should know this. I really should know if Jordan has a Twitter account or not.
If he does, why are we not following him on Twitter?
It's true. I don't think he does. There's a Michael B. Jordan.
No, he's an actor.
Yeah. Alrighty, Ad. We've ticked over an hour and a half.
We should probably wrap this.
We should tie this up. I think we've had a little bit of excitement of not recording the last couple of weeks. You know,
it has been a minute for us. So we've had our Christmas.
Yeah,
maybe the eggnog's still taking effect. I've got some leftover eggnog for New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Woohoo. Yeah. Never know. Star Michael Jordan. I'm not paying that money for Michael Jordan. That's all. For the star card. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway. Cool.
All right, bro.
Let's tie this off. Cool.
Thanks for listening.
Welcome aboard to the hobby hangout.
Yeah.
Is the big takeaway?
Absolutely.
Card Ladder, we need a premium membership because we need to look back on Michael Porter Jr. We need to be able to. We need a history. We need a history.
That's right.
But yes, interesting week. For those listening on New Year's Day, Happy New Year. We'll be live again next week. And we'll catch you all then.
Peace, guys. See you later.
Guys.
G'day, guys. Just a quick added after the podcast is finished recording. Adam and I quickly realized after the podcast had finished that the 84-85 Star Company basketball cards were licensed cards, when in fact in the podcast we said they weren't licensed cards. So I think this is a really good opportunity for us to take the week to do a bit of a deep dive into this set and then come back and talk about it next week. So we do acknowledge that what we said during the pod wasn't 100% accurate, in saying that there is actually a lot about this basketball set that doesn't quite smell right. So I think this is going to be a really interesting conversation for next week. So this is like a good lead in for that. So yeah, looking forward to that, guys. Alrighty, thanks so much again for listening and have a good one. Bye-bye.